Ashes on the Ave, Chapter 1. Trenches and Dreams. East Oakland, 23rd Ave, 9:13 p.m. Ty sat on the porch steps of an old duplex, hoodie up, blunt hanging from the corner of his mouth, eyes low but mind racing. The same street he'd walked 1,000 times. But tonight felt different. Heavy. Across from him, Brick counted out small bills, stacking 20s and 10s, breaking down what little they'd made off their last play. "Blood, this ain't it," Brick muttered. Ty nodded but didn't speak, because truth was, they were broke, hungry, grinding, and trapped in the same cycle, selling small packs, robbing small timers, flipping whatever they could just to pay studio time at some rundown spot on MacArthur. The house, Amira sat on the floor with her laptop. She scrolled through YouTube tutorials on how to shoot low-budget music videos with a cracked iPhone. Her and Ty weren't perfect. They fought about money, fought about loyalty, but she believed in his music more than anybody else. "Ty, I found this videographer on Instagram who'll shoot for $150 if we pull up to his block tomorrow," she called out. Ty exhaled. "Tell him we coming." Later that night, the crew assembled. The living room filled quick. Trell, the loud mouth always chasing clout, never bringing money to the table but always there when cameras showed up, mellow, funny, laid back, but deep down, envious, always making slick comments about Ty's growing buzz. Show, kept a gun but no common sense, always ready to crash out behind dumb shit. Deuce, the only one with a real car, but still moving reckless, trying to out-hustle everyone. And then there was Rico, older, played both sides between Ty and the neighborhood. Big Marv, the new name for Big Shawn, called that night on a jail call. "What's up, little blood? You still rapping? Or you finally waking up to what it really take?" Ty laughed. "Still rapping, you ain't. And making moves, too." Big Marv's voice came through strong. "That's what I like to hear. But watch them niggas around you. Envy closer than you think." Next day, low-budget video shoot behind an old liquor store. Ty stood in front of the camera, Brick holding reflector boards they borrowed, Amira directing from behind the phone, Trail yelling for no reason, Show holding a prop gun, Mellow off to the side mugging like he hated being there, Loud over the beat blasting off a portable, came from the IV where they hate you before you rich, be the ones plotting with the switch. Brick nodded like a proud brother. Amira smiled, recording every take like this was a big budget shoot. But deep down, all of them felt it. Ty was different now, and different in the hood was dangerous. That night at the trap spot, Deuce lit a blunt, laughing with Trell and Show. "This nigga Ty getting too big-headed for me," Deuce said. "Man, facts." Rico sat in the corner, quiet, watching, already thinking 2 moves ahead, because jealousy wasn't brewing, it was already here, and nobody was going to stop it. Chapter 2, Studio Time Ain't Free. East Oakland, Wednesday night, 11:48 p.m. Ty sat in the passenger seat of Deuce's beat-up Chrysler, staring at the digital clock on the dash. Brick counted out folded singles and crumpled tens, trying to scrape together enough for an hour at the studio. "Blood, we at $87. That's gas money and barely studio time," Brick said, frustrated. Ty leaned back, exhaling. "Call Rico. Tell him slide with something. We'll make it work." Down the street, Rico stood with Trell and Show, laughing about nothing important. Rico's phone rang. He answered. "Yo?" "We short," Ty said flat. "Slide with something or fall back." Rico chuckled low. "I got you." But as he hung up, Rico smirked. "This nigga Ty always asking for help but acting Hollywood when he get around them music folks," he said out loud. Show laughed. "Bruh, swear he too good now," Trell chimed in. "And we the ones risking it for him, for real." Rico stayed quiet but let the comment float. 30 minutes later, studio on MacArthur BLVD, small room, thin walls, mismatched furniture. But to Ty, this was heaven. Amira sat cross-legged on the floor, scrolling through beat catalogs. Brick stood by the door, keeping an eye on who came in and out. Rico showed up late, threw $40 on the table like he was doing Ty a favor, then spent the next 20 minutes talking loud in the booth like he wanted attention. Ty stayed cool, focused, laid 2 verses and a hook, hunger in every bar, pride in every line. Brick clapped him up after the last take. "That's it right there, blood. That's the one." Ty smiled but stayed humble. "Gotta drop like 10 more before anybody cared," Amira chimed in, holding up her phone. "Your Instagram post from yesterday already at 3,000 views. That's the most you ever had." The room got quiet. Show mumbled under his breath 3,000 little broke views. Ty heard it, but didn't react yet. Later that night, gas station on Seminary. Deuce, Trell, and Show stood by the pump. Blood. We putting in work for this nigga, and he acting like we extras in his movie, Deuce said, lighting a backwood. Trell laughed. Niggas swear he a star already. Show cocked his gun for no reason. We should slide on something tonight. Show niggas how we really move. Deuce grinned. Facts. Let's hit a lick. And just like that, the first crack in the foundation widened because while Ty was chasing beats and blog placements, his day ones were chasing street validation. And worse, they were starting to resent him for leaving them behind. Meanwhile, Ty sat with Amira and Brick at her apartment. They played back his new song on her Bluetooth speaker. I'm telling you, we one song away, Brick said, amped. Ty smiled. But deep down, he knew the people closest to him would be the same ones trying to block him, or worse, bury him. Chapter 3. Hate Inside the Huddle. East Oakland, Friday night, 10:15 p.m. Ty stood in the corner of a small neighborhood house party, hoodie on, blunt in hand, observing the room. The DJ played local Bay Area tracks. Backwoods smoke filled the air. Half the people in there didn't know him. The other half barely supported the music but swore they rocked with him since day one. Amira sat on the couch with two of her friends, proud but watching Ty's every move. She saw the stares, the whispers, the fake love. Brick leaned against the wall near the door, keeping eyes on everybody. Blood, this is the type of room where hate start brewing heavy, Brick whispered. Ty nodded but kept it cool. They gon' hate either way. Across the room, Rico, Trell, Show, and Deuce huddled together near the kitchen. You see how this nigga moving? Show mumbled. Rico sipped Henny straight from the bottle. Swear he forgot who used to front him zips back in the day. Deuce laughed. Nigga in the booth one week and Hollywood the next. Trell pulled out his phone, scrolling Instagram, and this nigga got Big Marv reposting his freestyle. Nigga only got that 'cause of us. If we wasn't catching fades and sliding for him, he wouldn't even be in this position. Show tapped his Glock under his hoodie. Don't worry, niggas gonna remember who really active. Rico just sat there fake laughing, but low-key plotting. Later that night, parking lot outside the party, Brick and Ty stood near Amira's car. Blood, we need to stop coming to these small parties, Brick said. Niggas moving funny, Ty exhaled. After next week, I'm done with this whole scene. Next week? Brick asked. Ty grinned. Studio meeting with a real producer out in L.A. Martin Vance Connect. Shit moving, Blood. Brick smiled wide. See, told you. You getting out this bitch for real. Amira stepped out the front door, keys in hand. Y'all ready? I'm starving. Ty nodded, climbing in the passenger seat. But as Brick got behind the wheel and Amira pulled out of the lot, Show stood across the street watching, face blank, mind dark. Later that night, Trell's apartment. Deuce, Rico, Show, and Trell sat in the living room. Deuce dumped a duffel bag on the table, 2 stolen pistols, and a ski mask. Y'all really ready to make that move? Trell asked, laughing nervously. Rico leaned back. Let's see how untouchable this rap nigga really is. Show smiled. Facts. And just like that, the decision was made. Jealousy turned to plans. Plans turned to targets. And Ty was too busy chasing his next verse to notice that the ones closest were loading clips with his name on them. Chapter 4, Backdoor Energy. Monday night, East Oakland, back of a corner store. Ty stood outside with Brick, waiting on a local producer named Spence to pull up and play beats from his trunk. This was how they operated. Cheap studio sessions, car speaker beat previews, borrowed time. Brick kept looking over his shoulder. You notice how none of the homies been hitting your line lately? Ty shrugged. That's how it go when your names start moving? Brick stayed quiet, but in the pit of his stomach, he felt something coming. Meanwhile, Trell's apartment. Trell, Show, Rico, and Deuce sat around the table. A burner phone sat in the middle. They already voted. Tonight was the night. We slide, snatch whatever chain he wearing. Make an example out of Blood, Show said, loading his clip. Rico, playing both sides as always, pretended to. Y'all sure? That's still broke, kinda? Deuce laughed. Nah, he a brand now, and we the unpaid background dancers. Show grinned, pulling his ski mask from his hoodie pocket. Showtime. Amira was waiting out front in her car. Brick stood by the passenger door, phone to his ear. Out of nowhere, 2 masked figures ran up. Run that chain, nigga, one yelled. Ty spun fast, recognized the voice under the mask instantly. Show. But before he could react, Sho let off a shot. Bang! Brick shoved Ty down behind a car. Return fire cracked back. A nearby store window shattered, screams, people ducking, cars peeling out. Rico and Deuce stayed in the getaway car, engine running, heartbeats racing. Sho and Trell jumped in just as Brick returned 2 more shots. Ty stayed on the pavement, furious, heart pounding, mind racing. Brick grabbed him. Blood, you good? Ty nodded, rage building, because in that split second, all the fake love, all the day one energy, it was dead, officially. Back at Trell's spot, Sho laughed, pulling his ski mask off. Nigga ain't bulletproof after all. Deuce cracked a beer. Rico stayed silent. Trell paced. You think he know it was us? Sho grinned wide. If he didn't, he do now. Amira drove them home, shaking, tears building. Brick stayed quiet, driving fast, Glock on his lap. Ty looked down at the chain, then out the window. And in that moment, Ty made a decision. Next nigga who play with me gon' die behind it. Chapter 5, When Love Turns Dangerous. East Oakland, 23rd Ave, midday. Word moved fast on the Ave. By lunchtime, everybody heard about the attempted robbery outside the studio, and everybody knew exactly who was behind it, even if nobody was saying names out loud. Ty stood outside Max Liquor, hoodie on, shades low, face hard. Brick stood next to him, holding a bottle of water but eyes scanning every passing car. The Ave wasn't big, everybody grew up on the same blocks, played on the same cracked sidewalks, knew the same OGs, and that's what made the hate worse. Blood, you can't keep posting up like this, Brick said low. Ty shrugged. This is my block too. Meanwhile, Big Marv called from County Jail. Brick's phone rang. Brick answered on speaker. Blood! I heard what happened, Big Marv's voice boomed through the phone. That's weak shit. You already know I'm standing on business behind you, nephew. Ty stayed quiet, but his chest swelled a little. Appreciate you, Unc. Big Marv kept going. Fuck all that fake love on the Ave. You got a gift. And these broke, bitter niggas can't stomach that. Keep your foot on their necks. You one of them ones. Brick smiled hard. Ty just nodded. But on the block, that phone call, that public stand from Big Marv, only added gas to the fire. Later that afternoon, Trell, Sho, Rico, and Deuce stood on the next block over. Trell scrolled through Instagram, showing everybody the post. Big Marv's official jailhouse message to Ty, from 23rd Ave to the industry, keep applying pressure, nephew. You up next. Sho shook his head. Nigga really playing favorite like that? Deuce laughed bitter. Funny how a nigga can barely afford studio time last month, and now he got Marv riding his dick. Rico, still trying to play both sides, kept his comments light. Shit. Maybe we all up next. Sho side-eyed him hard. Nah, only one nigga up next, and that's the problem. Later that night, Brick and Ty rode through Oakland in silence. Finally, Brick broke it. Blood, I know you love this city. I know you love the Ave, but at some point, you're gonna have to pick rap career or street funerals. Ty stared out the passenger window. I ain't choosing. They gonna choose for me. Meanwhile, Amira sat at home scrolling through the same Instagram post. She smiled seeing Ty's name buzzing. But she couldn't shake the feeling something bad was coming. Trell stood on the corner with Sho, both smoking, both posted. Next time, we not missing, Sho said cold. Trell laughed. Next time, he not getting up. And with that, lines were drawn, friendships dead, and the Ave started turning on its own. Chapter 6, Rumors, Revenge, and Repercussions. Perspective, Ty. Ty sat at the corner booth inside Roy's Burgers, staring at his phone, scrolling through studio equipment online. The attempted robbery still played in his head like a broken loop. He could still hear the gunshot, still feel Brick pulling him down behind the car. Marv's public shout-out had his name ringing louder, but Ty wasn't smiling. Every time he refreshed his IG feed, more fake love, more DMs, more people claiming they had his back. Knew half these dudes would line him up for less. Brick slid into the booth across from him, tray in hand. Blood, you ain't even eaten. Ty stayed staring at the screen. Too much moving around me. Brick leaned forward. That's why I'm here. Ty finally cracked a smile. I know, bro. I know. But deep down, he was already making mental notes. Who could stay and who had to go? Perspective, Brick. Brick wasn't stupid. The hate was boiling over now. The fake dap-ups on the block. The sudden cold stares from dudes who used to laugh at Ty's jokes. The energy was shifting daily. Brick pulled out his phone and started scrolling for apartments in LA. Blood need distance from this city, from these fake homies. But until then, Brick stayed strapped and stayed close. Ain't no way I'm letting my bro die behind jealousy. Perspective, Amira. Amira sat on her bedroom floor, laptop open, editing Ty's latest behind-the-scenes studio vlog. YouTube following was growing just as fast as his. But lately, her anxiety was through the roof. Every time her phone rang late at night, she jumped. Every time Ty posted a new pic, the comments were filled with Oakland dudes being messy. Fake rapper, industry plant, studio gangster. She hated it. Why can't people just support? She whispered to herself. Deep down, though, Amira worried that soon Ty's enemies weren't going to settle for sneak disses and IG stories. Perspective, Rico. Rico stood on the sidewalk near Seminary, smoking, watching traffic roll by. His mind stayed conflicted. He wasn't built like Show or Trail, wasn't reckless like Deuce. But the jealousy? That lived in him too. Watching Ty go from broke corner boy to verified rapper in the making stung in ways Rico wasn't ready to admit. And now with Big Marv stamping him, it was like salt in the wound. I put this little nigga on first, showed him how to hustle, and now he Hollywood? Rico lit another blunt. He still hadn't picked the side, but soon he'd have to. Perspective, Show. Show sat on his back porch, loading hollow tips into a dusty Glock. The whole situation made him sick. Blood moving like he better than us. Show replayed the attempted robbery in his head. If Brick hadn't been there, Ty wouldn't be here. That made Show more mad. Next time. Ain't gonna be no next time. Next time, niggas getting hit. Perspective, Trell. Trell sat in his room scrolling through Ty's IG page. Every post, hundreds of likes, more followers, more love, more comments from out-of-town chicks. And Trell, still stuck on the block, still broke, still irrelevant. All that cause of a few rap songs? He mumbled. He flipped through old text threads with Ty when they used to laugh about making it big. Funny how people forget, Trell said, tossing his phone to the floor. Later that night, Ty's apartment. Brick sat by the window. Ty sat on the couch going over beat packs on his laptop. Noodles in the kitchen humming one of Ty's. The night seemed peaceful, but in the back of all their minds, they knew somewhere on the Ave somebody was loading up, plotting, waiting, and soon it wasn't going to be rumors anymore. It was going to be blood. Chapter 7, First Blood. Perspective, Ty. Ty sat in the back of Deuce's Chrysler with Brick riding shotgun. The car smelled like backwoods and jealousy. Brick kept looking at the rear view. Ty scrolled through beat emails, earbuds in, ignoring the weird tension. But deep down, he felt it. Something off, energy wrong. Deuce drove slow down MacArthur, playing old Mozzie tracks. You still going to L.A. next week, Blood? Deuce asked over his shoulder. Ty nodded. Yeah, Big Marv set it up. Deuce didn't say much after that, just gripped the wheel tighter. Brick stayed stone-faced, because Brick already clocked it. Deuce moving funny, too. Perspective, Deuce. Deuce was torn. On one hand, he grew up with Ty, watched him go from broke to buzzing. On the other hand, the money wasn't spreading. The love wasn't spreading. Deuce's phone buzzed. A text from Trill. Let's get it done tonight. No more talking. Deuce swallowed hard. That part, he wasn't sure. Perspective, Show. Show sat on a porch 2 blocks away, ski mask in his lap, Glock in hand, bouncing his knee. Trill stood next to him, rolling a blunt. As soon as Deuce sent that pin, Show grinned. Blood. This been overdue. Trill didn't laugh. Ain't no turning back after tonight. Show chambered around. Good. Perspective, Rico. Rico sat outside the liquor store acting like he wasn't part of the plot. But he knew. And worse, he was feeding both sides. He texted Brick from a burner. Yo, watch Deuce tonight. Niggas acting weird. Then he deleted the thread because Rico was only loyal to survival. Perspective, Brick. Brick's phone buzzed. He read the text from Rico. Didn't respond. Just slid his hand under his hoodie, resting on his Glock. Blood, pull over by Seminary real quick, Brick said. Deuce looked back. For what? Brick leaned forward. Just do it. Deuce turned on Seminary, slowing the car. That's when Brick saw it, 2 masked figures creeping out from behind a parked SUV down the block. Show, Trill, both with guns up. Duck, Blood, Brick yelled. Bang, 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 bang. Gunfire erupted, glass shattered. Brick fired back through the windshield. Ty dropped low behind the seat, heart racing. Deuce panicked. hitting the gas, tires screeching. What the fuck? Ty yelled. Brick kept firing until they cleared the block. People screaming, cars swerving. The car sat smoking, 2 tires flat, windows busted. Ty sat on the pavement, breathing heavy. Brick stood, Glock still warm in his hand. Deuce sat in the driver's seat, hands shaking. Blood. They tried to kill me, Ty whispered. Brick nodded. They tried to kill both of us. Ty stood up slow. That's it then. Ain't no more friends. Brick looked him dead in the eyes. Wasn't never no friends, Blood. Just people waiting on your downfall. Ty grabbed Brick by the shoulder. We not letting this slide. Brick smiled grim. I was hoping you'd say that. Meanwhile, back on the Ave, Trell's apartment. Show paced. Trell lit another blunt. Deuce's phone stayed dark. Nobody answered. Rico sat in the corner, quiet. Because Rico already knew the next bullet was coming back their direction. Chapter 8, Winds and Warning Signs. Perspective, Ty. For the first time in months, Ty felt like he could breathe. The small bag came in after a local promoter cut him a check for $2,500 to perform at the new parish. Then a couple YouTube bloggers reposted his freestyle video. Next thing you know, his followers jumped by 10K, streams up. Bookings started trickling in. It wasn't life-changing money, but after sleeping on floors and ducking gunshots, it felt like $1 million. Ty stood outside Coliseum Motors staring at a used but clean black Chrysler 300 on 22-inch rims. Dealer wanted $7,000. Ty had 5. Brick fronted him the rest. This you, Blood, Brick said, tossing him the. Ty smiled for the first time in weeks. We moving up. Perspective, Brick. Brick sat on the porch later that night, wiping down his Glock with a rag. Watching Ty ride up and down the block in the new whip, it made Brick proud, but paranoid too, because Oakland hate came with interest fees. Every time you level up, somebody plotting on you harder, Brick muttered to himself. His phone buzzed. Rico again. Blood, when you gonna realize them niggas not your friends? Rico's text read. Brick didn't respond. Instead, he tucked his Glock in his waistband and went to sleep with one eye open. Perspective, Amira. Amira stood in her bedroom, scrolling through Ty's latest Instagram story. Him flashing the keys to the Chrysler. Studio snippets, new chains, new beats. She smiled. Finally, he's catching his wave, but deep down, she felt the distance starting too, because Ty wasn't home as much, wasn't texting back as fast, and every other weekend, he was dipping down to LA for studio sessions she wasn't invited to. Perspective, Show and Trell. Show and Trell sat in Trell's living room, both loading mags. Nearby, quiet, scrolling his phone, but barely blinking. Show looked up at the TV, watching Ty's latest YouTube interview play on the screen. Look at this clown. Acting like he made it, Show said. Trell lit a blunt. Blood, nigga think 'cause he got a Chrysler and a SoundCloud check he untouchable now. Show grinned. Let him keep thinking that. Niggas love to get comfortable before they get clipped. Deuce said nothing, but the guilt on his face starting to show. Perspective, Ty on the I-5 freeway heading to LA. Ty drove solo, music blasting, Glock sitting on the passenger seat. Every mile closer to LA, the stress lifted. Down there, people wanted to work with him. Producers sent free beats. Engineers gave him discount rates. Girls slid in his DMs. Club promoters shook his hand like he was already famous. But every time he pulled back up on 23rd Ave, the air felt heavier. Eyes followed him harder, and smiles felt faker. One night in LA studio session, Ty sat in a small North Hollywood studio laying down hooks over a new beat. The engineer paused the track. Bro, this your sound. This the record that's gonna take you out of Oakland for real. Ty nodded but stayed focused, because while the music was building, so was the war back home. Meanwhile, back on the Ave, Show loaded up his Glock, standing on the block with Trell. Next time Blood pull up in that 300, we parking that bitch for good. Chapter 9, Setting the Net. Perspective, Ty. Ty pulled up on the Ave in the new Chrysler 300, music blasting, windows down just enough to be seen but not enough to catch a stray. Chain on, new Cartier frames. Fresh off an LA session with new songs loaded in his phone. Kids on the block cheered when they saw him. Old heads nodded, but behind every head nod, a side eye, a fake smile, a pocket full of envy. Ty parked outside Mac's Liquor, ran inside for backwoods, then back to the whip. Brick texted him mid-purchase. Blood, slide off the block. Too many weird faces outside today. Ty looked around. Brick was right. Too many unfamiliar cars. Too many parked niggas with no reason to be there. Jumped back in the car and dipped off toward Foothill. Perspective, Brick. Brick stood across the street, leaned up against the busted payphone, eyes on everybody. He clocked every stare, every phone raised, every whisper. Showed Trell and Deuce sitting on Rico's porch, laughing too loud, too fake, too timed. Brick called Ty again. Blood, stay low for a minute. These niggas moving different. Perspective, Show. Show sat in the backyard with Trell and Deuce. The Glock with the blue tape on the handle sat in his lap. This the move. We get him next week when he pull up for that studio shoot he talking about. Trell nodded. We already know he gonna post the location. Nigga too thirsty for the gram. Show smiled. Facts. Deuce stayed quiet. Again. But his stomach twisted harder with every new plan. Because in the back of his mind, he remembered how many times Ty fronted him gas money. Brick saved him from getting robbed on. And how many times Amira let him crash on her couch when he was broke. But he said nothing, just kept nodding and loading bullets. Perspective, Rico. Rico played both sides like always. He smiled with Trell and Show during the day. But at night, he'd text Brick from a hidden burner. They lining him up. Watch next week. But Rico wasn't warning out of love, just guilt. And maybe a little fear, because Rico knew if something happens to Ty, the whole block gonna burn. Perspective, Amira. Amira sat at her desk editing Ty's latest behind-the-scenes video, watching him laugh on camera, seeing his glow up, knowing how much they came from nothing together. But still, she couldn't shake the fear. It felt like something bad is coming. She grabbed her phone, typed a long text to Ty, deleted it, typed again, then finally hit send. Please be careful when you come back to the block. I got a bad feeling. Perspective. Ty, next morning driving to L.A. again. Ty read her text, smirked, and replied, I'm good, love. Focused on this music. See you when I'm back. He turned up the volume on his new track, stepped on the gas down the I-5, and left Oakland behind for the weekend. But what he didn't know, back on the Ave, a trap was already waiting. Chapter 10, Fast Money, Slow Love, and a Black Benz. In perspective, Ty, the money wasn't crazy, not yet, but it was consistent now. Show deposits, small featured checks, local sponsorships, Cash App notifications after every pop-up performance in L.A. For the first time in his life, Ty didn't have to check his balance before he filled up the tank. And now, there was a new tank to fill. Ty stood outside the RCA affiliate office in L.A., staring at the gift they parked right in front of him. A matte black S63 AMG Benz coupe, red leather seats, black rims, big exhaust, loud as his name in the streets. Martin Vance and the label rep handed him the keys with a fake smile. Keep making noise, Ty, Martin said. Ty just grinned, jumped in and revved the engine until it rattled the parking lot. From the Ave to this, he whispered to himself, Perspective, Amira. Amira sat on her couch scrolling Instagram, seeing Ty's new car post. Caption simple, new levels. Same heart. Her stomach twisted. For weeks, they'd barely talked. His LA trips turned into days without texts. But that night, her phone buzzed. Ty, you home? Before she could overthink, she texted back, yeah, 20 minutes later. Ty pulled up outside her apartment in the S63. When she opened the door, they didn't say much. He stepped inside, closed the door behind him, and without a word, grabbed her by the waist, lifted her onto the counter, and kissed her like he hadn't eaten in days. Her hand slid under his hoodie. His lips hit her neck. Shoes kicked off, halfway down before they even made it to the bedroom. The lovemaking, slow, real, like both of them needed it just to breathe. They collapsed back onto the bed. Ty pulled her. I know I've been distant, but you the only person who really been here from the jump. Amira kissed his chest. But deep down, she wondered how long this peace would last. Perspective, Brick. Brick stood on 23rd Ave, posted with two new shooters Ty put on payroll for weekend watch. Ty wasn't coming back to the block without security now. Brick scanned the street, texting Zuri, a new chick who low-key had ears to the streets. Brick, any word on them suckers? Zuri replied. Trell still talking reckless. Show still flashing that blue tape Glock on Instagram story like he invincible. Rico, still playing both sides? Brick exhaled. Start knocking pawns off the board, he. Perspective, Show and Trell. Show sat in a stolen Camry, rolling a blunt with Trell in the passenger seat. Both watched Ty's new Instagram story, him cruising through Beverly Hills in the S63. Sho clenched his jaw. Blood really think he untouchable now. Trell laughed dry. He forgot where he from. Sho pulled his Glock from under the seat, time to remind him that night Ty on FaceTime with Brick. Brick nodded. Yeah, but don't trip. I'm already lining up the first one to fall. Ty smirked. Make it count, because now? Ty wasn't just playing defense anymore. He was hunting. Chapter 11, first drop. Perspective Brick. Brick sat in the cut, parked on 62nd and International, engine off, eyes locked on the corner store across the street. Trell, loud as always, running his mouth about Ty again. Drunk off Henny, waving his hands like he wasn't ducking bullets a month ago, gloves on, 9mm with the switch sitting right in his lap. This wasn't random. This was a calculated first move. One at a time, Brick whispered to himself. Trell stood outside the store laughing, trying to flirt with some neighborhood girl. Brick didn't wait. 3 fast steps out the car, gloved hand up, trigger pulled, blah, 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 2 to the chest, 1 to the neck. Trell dropped before he could even blink. People scattered, back into the car and peeled off down Seminary like. First pawn, off the board. Perspective, Ty, hours later, Love Studio. Ty stood in the booth, headphones halfway off, scrolling his phone mid-session. New text from Brick, checkmate on 1, Trell gone. Ty sat there for a second. No emotion, no fear, just focus. Load the next beat, Ty said to the engineer. He laid down a whole verse with more hunger than ever. The hate, the violence, the fake love, all turning into bars now, into streams, into leverage. Perspective, Amira. Amira sat in her bedroom scrolling Instagram. Her timeline exploded. Breaking news, local man shot and killed outside East Oakland corner store. Sources confirm victim was Trell Simmons. Her stomach dropped. Her first instinct was to text Ty. But she didn't, because she already knew somebody from Ty's side did this. And that meant this wasn't over. Perspective, Sho. Sho paced the living room floor, gun on the table, sweating. Deuce sat in the corner looking like he wanted to disappear. Blood. They really did Trell like that. Broad daylight? Sho shook his head. Oh, my mama, I'm crashing out behind this. Deuce stayed silent. Rico, standing by the door, kept looking at his phone. What you know, Rick? Sho snapped. Rico shrugged. I just know you next if you don't move smart. Sho grabbed his Glock. Nigga, I am moving smart, and first chance I get, I'm parking somebody. But Rico, already texting Brick from a burner. Perspective, Brick later that night. Brick stood on 23rd, leaning against Ty's Benz, smoking, watching traffic, waiting for the next play. Because after tonight, nobody was safe. And loyalty officially dead on the Ave. Chapter 12, when desperation talks louder than logic. Perspective, Sho. Sho sat in the back seat of a borrowed Nissan Altima, Glock on his lap, heart racing. Trell was gone. And everybody on the Ave knew who did it, even if nobody was saying it out loud. Sat behind the wheel, engine idling, looking. Sho scrolled Instagram, watching Ty post studio selfies and LA footage like he wasn't dodging death back home. Blood got a new Benz, new chain, new music, and we sit here broke as hell, Sho said through gritted teeth. Deuce stayed quiet. Sho lit a blunt, took a hard pull, then slapped the dashboard. Nah, fuck this. We sliding tonight. Deuce blinked. On who? Sho glared at him. Brick. If we can't get Ty, we take out his heart. Perspective, Deuce. Deuce's stomach turned. Sho was too far gone now. Paranoid, trigger happy, moving loud. Ain't ready for that kind of war, Deuce thought, but fear made him keep driving, even though every street light felt like a stop sign to reconsider his life. Perspective, Rico. Rico stood by the liquor store watching the Altima drive off. He already knew what was up, pulled out his burner, sent a fast text to Brick. Sho sliding tonight. Looking for you. Stay low. Rico deleted the thread again. Because one thing Rico knew, the Ab about to get bloodier. And I ain't picking no losing side. Perspective, Brick. Brick got the text while sitting in the driveway of Ty's mom's old house. Without hesitation, he pulled out the short AR from the trunk, loaded 2 full mags, locked both doors, and waited. Because if Sho wanted to play tonight, Brick was ready for him. 10:43 p.m., Seminary and 62nd. Sho and Deuce circled the block, Sho hanging halfway out the window, eyes scanning, finger on the trigger. Deuce sweating bullets. They spotted Brick's car. Sho sat up fast. Blood, there he go. Before Deuce could stop him, Sho jumped out, ran up on the car, gun raised. But Brick had already cracked the back window open and was waiting with the AR barrel sticking out. B-R-R-R-R-R-A. A full burst ripped through the air. Show dropped instantly, face first on the sidewalk, Glock sliding out of his hand. Deuce hit reverse so hard he damn near crashed into a parked car before speeding off. Brick stepped out the car, walked right up, looked down at Show's lifeless body. Told you dumb niggas, ain't no backdooring me. Brick picked up Show's Glock, popped the clip out, and tossed both into the storm drain before disappearing into the night. Perspective tied down in L.A., couch laughing with a couple engineers about. Brick texted him 3 words, second pawn gone. Ty stared at the text, smirked, then stood up. Run the next beat, perspective, Amira. Amira saw the news clip pop up. Second shooting on 23rd Ave in 2 weeks. Local man found dead on sidewalk. Her heart sank because she already knew the old life Ty used to rap about was now current events. Chapter 13, when the fear hits home. Perspective, Deuce. Deuce sat in his room, lights off, Glock in his lap, heart pounding so loud he could hear it in his ears. Show was gone, trail was gone. And now, Deuce was next on the chessboard. He scrolled through Ty's Instagram story, Ty in L.A., laughing in the studio, new Benz parked outside, more followers, more girls, more comments. Deuce lit a cigarette with shaky hands. Blood left us here to die, he whispered to himself. Every car that passed his window made him flinch. Every group of footsteps outside made him grab for the gun. And Rico? Not answering his calls. I'm out here dolo now, Deuce mumbled. Perspective, Rico. Rico posted up on 90th and Bancroft, leaned against the busted street sign trying to keep his face calm, but inside, he was cracking too. Every burner phone he had was buzzing. People asking questions. You heard what happened to Show? Nigga, you better move smart before you next. Rico kept lying. Man, I ain't involved. I'm neutral. I'm cool with everybody, but deep down, he knew that wasn't true anymore because just last night, Brick texted him again. Next play lined up. You or Deuce, pick. Rico didn't reply. Instead, he did something dumb, something desperate. He called Ty's number directly. First ring, second ring, Ty answered. Blood, what the fuck you want? Ty's voice came cold. Rico cleared his throat. Look, I know we've been on opposite sides, but I ain't got no problem with you, Blood. I just want to stay alive. Ty stayed silent. Rico kept talking. I got info on Deuce, where he be at, where he hiding. Let me make it right. Ty chuckled low. Funny how y'all only call me when y'all scared. Rico swallowed. Blood, I'm just trying to survive. Ty paused. I'll think about it. Then he hung up. Rico stood there, sweating, shaking, realizing too late that maybe that call just made him target number 1. Perspective, Brick. Brick read the text thread between Ty and Rico. Ty forwarded it straight to him. Brick shook his head, smiling dark. Snake begging now. Brick loaded 2 mags, tucked a hoodie on, and made plans for the weekend. Perspective, Amira. Amira sat on her porch scrolling Twitter. The streets were talking. The Av hashtag was popping. Every post, every thread, all naming Ty without naming Ty. This new rapper from the Av really catching bodies before catching plaques. Y'all sure he just a rapper? First trail, now Show? Who next? Amira put her phone down. What happens when this catches up with him? Her heart stayed heavy, but her love for Ty? Still stronger than her fear. For now. Perspective, Ty back in L.A. Ty stepped out the S63, walked into the studio, and was greeted by a new A&R from the label. Ty, we're going to get you a radio budget. Your numbers look crazy. Ty shook his hand, smiled, and nodded. But in his mind, he was already thinking about Deuce and Rico and who Brick would catch first. Because if this was chess, Ty was done playing defense, and the clock on the Ave was running out. Chapter 14, Ashes on the Ave. Perspective, Ty sat in the studio staring at the cover art on his laptop. Big block letters, spray paint font, brick buildings and street lights in the background. Title bold across the top, Ashes on the Ave. A full mixtape, 10 tracks. No features, all pain, all reality. The first track, a direct shot at every hater from his block to L.A. Blood. Drop that shit, Brick said from the corner, rolling up. Ty smiled. Uploading now. He hit publish on SoundCloud and YouTube. Within an hour, then 5,000, then 12,000. By morning, 50,000. Oakland couldn't ignore it. LA bloggers started reposting, and the comments split straight down the middle. Ty up next for real, rapping about the block when you scared to come. He caught 2 bodies and dropped a mixtape. Different breed. Fake rapper won't last a year. Ty laughed at every single one. Let's shoot the video on the Ave. Brick pause mid-roll. Blood. You serious? Dead serious. Perspective Brick. Brick didn't like it. Too risky, too loud, too Oakland. But he understood the bigger picture. Ty standing on the same corners where dudes plotted on him, that was statement energy. That was chess. So Brick made the calls. Extra shooters, extra eyes, every exit mapped out. If anybody even blinked wrong during this video shoot, they were getting parked. Shoot day, 23rd Ave, 4:30 p.m. Ty stood on the corner wearing a black hoodie, Cartier frames and both chains out. Cameraman on the Steadicam, drones in the air, old heads sitting on porches watching. Kids running around, women hanging on the sidewalk with their phones out recording. And off camera, Brick plus 3 shooters keeping lookout on every rooftop and stop sign. Ty rapped into the camera. I've made, pain paid, seen friends turn fade. Now it's foreign keys and label plays. Cars drove slow past the shoot, staring. Shooter eyes in every direction. But no one made a move. Because right now, Ty owned this moment. Perspective, Deuce. Deuce sat inside his cousin's car across the street, hoodie low, shaking, watching Ty shoot the video, watching the block cheer for him, watching the cameraman capture it like it was a movie, and all Deuce could do was sit there, broke, scared, and mad. That should have been me, but all he did was watch. Because now, getting anywhere close to Ty looked like suicide. Perspective, Rico. Rico scrolled through Instagram from a gas station 2 blocks over. The live footage of the video shoot was already trending. Over 1,000 people tuned in live. Rico sighed. This nigga unstoppable now. For a second, Rico almost felt proud. He remembered how close Brick was to catching. That feeling faded fast. Industry perspective. LA office. Martin Vance. Martin sat at his desk at RCA's West Coast office, scrolling Ty's live video. His phone buzzed. A&R from Interscope. Who's this Ty kid from Oakland? He's moving numbers. Street buzz crazy and controversy sells. Martin smirked. Let me make a call. That night, Ty's apartment back in LA. Ty sat on his balcony scrolling through his phone. DMs flooded, streams climbing. His email? First real offer sitting there from Martin's people. Let's talk distribution and singles deal. Ty showed Brick the email. Brick nodded. Told you blood. Turned pain into profit. Ty smiled. But in his mind, he wasn't celebrating yet. Because one thing he knew for sure, the Avs still owed him blood, and book 1 was nowhere near done. Chapter 15, bids, bags, and back doors. Perspective, Ty next morning, downtown LA. Ty sat at a glass conference table inside RCA's West Coast office, feeling like the smallest fish in the biggest tank. Martin Vance sat across from him, flanked by 2 A&Rs and a marketing rep. On the TV screen, streaming numbers from Ashes on the Ave, clips from his 23rd Ave video, blog headlines with words like controversial, street hero. Next up from Oakland, Martin smiled big. Ty, you're hot right now. Your story's ugly, but the numbers, beautiful. Ty nodded slow. What's the play? Martin pushed the paperwork forward, a single deal first, with option for an EP if the numbers hold. Upfront bag, $50,000. Not life-changing, but starter money. Ty's hands twitched, thinking about how far he came, thinking about the Ave, thinking about revenge. Let me talk to my people. Martin grinned. Don't wait too long. Industry love is like street loyalty. Short perspective. Brick back in Oakland, same day. Brick stood outside Deuce's mom's house, parked across the street. Deuce hadn't been outside for 2 days, too scared, too paranoid, too aware that he was next. Brick sat in the car loading a short clip into his Glock. Zuri texted him. Deuce been talking to some dudes from the East. He trying to line something. Out-of-town hitters. Watch him. Brick cracked a knuckle. This nigga still playing both sides? Brick called Ty. Blood, what you want me to do? Ty paused on the other end. Line it up, but wait till I get back. Brick nodded. Say less. Perspective. Deuce inside the house. Deuce sat on the floor by his bed, 3 phones open, all on mute. He'd already called some dudes from deep East Oakland, talked about putting a move on Brick or even Ty. But every time he started to really go through with it, His hand shook too bad to finish the conversation. Deuce loaded his Glock, unloaded it, loaded it again. I gotta make a move before they make one on me. But deep down, he already knew he was running out of time. Perspective, Amira. Amira sat on her couch in LA, scrolling Instagram, watching Ty posts from inside RCA. We about to level up? His caption read. Her heart pulled two ways, proud and scared. Because while the industry loved his rise, she knew the Av only wanted his fall. Later that night, Ty on FaceTime with Brick. Blood, that Deuce place still locked in? Ty asked. Brick nodded. Just say the word. Ty exhaled. Cool, I'll be back in 2 days. He hung up, then stared at the RCA contract on the hotel desk, pen in hand, but mind still on revenge. Because for Ty, this music was his way out, but the street shit, still unfinished business. Chapter 16, Homecoming with a Body Count. Perspective, Ty, Oakland, Saturday evening. Ty stepped off the Southwest flight wearing all black sweats, hoodie up, chain tucked. Brick waited outside baggage claim in the S63. As soon as Ty jumped in the car, Brick handed him a Glock with the extended clip. No words, just energy, blood. You know why we here, Brick said. Ty nodded. Deuce, time up. They pulled off toward 23rd Ave. Perspective, Deuce. Kept checking over his shoulder. Kept peeking out windows. Kept hearing car doors slam at night, thinking it was the last thing he'd hear. His burner phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Move around tonight. They know you still at your mama crib. Jumped up, grabbed his gun, and started walking. Gotta get low, fast. Perspective, Brick driving with Ty. Brick's phone buzzed. Zuri again. He just left the gas station on Foothill. On foot. Strap on, and Brick handed the phone to Ty. Ty scrolled the text. Nodded. Perfect. They looped toward Foothill, slow, lights off. 20 minutes later, near 57th and Foothill. Ducked behind a dumpster trying to call a cousin for. His hand shook so bad he dropped the phone twice. Before he could finish dialing, the S63 turned the corner, glided slow toward him. Deuce froze. Brick dropped the window. Ty didn't flinch. Blah, 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 blah. 4 shots. Phone still unlocked in his hand. Gun never even drawn. Ty stepped out the car. Stood over him. Blood. You should have picked a side and stuck with it. One last shot to the head. Clean. Fast. Final. Perspective, Rico. Rico watched from 2 blocks away. He saw the S63. He heard the shots, and in that second, he knew he was next. Perspective, Amira back in LA. Amira sat in bed, FaceTiming Ty later that night. Ty smiled for the first time in weeks. Her tour offer came through. Singles deal too. Amira smiled back. You finally getting everything you worked for. But what she didn't know, while they talked, Brick was on the other line, already lining up the next name on the list, Rico. Chapter 17, Blood on the Contract. Perspective, Ty, downtown LA RCA office. Ty sat in the conference room with Martin Vance and 2 attorneys. The contract was spread across the table, his name printed at the bottom, a $50,000 single deal up front, plus marketing budget, plus tour support. Martin slid a Mont Blanc pen across the table. Ty, this right here, this makes it official. Brick stood in the corner, arms crossed, hoodie up, watching the whole thing play out. Amira sat next to Ty, holding his phone, recording a small clip for Instagram, thought about all the funerals, all the betrayals, all the hate. Then signed, let's run it up. Martin smiled wide, the room clapped. Ty stayed cool, because while the ink dried, Brick's phone buzzed. Zuri again. Perspective, Brick checking the text from Zuri. Rico just pulled up at JoJo's spot on 85th. Word is, he asking about buying a flight out of state, trying to skip town. Brick showed Ty the screen. Ty looked at the contract, then back at Brick. Blood, we finishing this tonight. Perspective, Rico. Rico sat inside JoJo's living room on 85th, pacing, sweating, gun tucked in his waistband. He had $1,400 in cash, a fake ID from a dude in Richmond, and a one-way flight booked for Vegas. His plan, go ghost, stay low, start over. But deep down, Rico knew it was too late. The second he gave up info on Deuce, the second he started feeding both sides, his clock started ticking. And now, it was down to minutes. 10:02 p.m., outside JoJo's house. A black rental pulled up slow, Brick in the driver's seat, Ty in the passenger seat, Zuri in the back, masked up, Glock in her lap. Ty looked at Brick. You sure he inside? Zuri nodded. My cousin just texted. He ain't left yet. Rick cracked his knuckles. Let's finish it. 10:05 p.m. inside JoJo's house. Rico stood up, grabbing his backpack, walked toward the door. Just as he twisted the doorknob, the front door kicked open. Brick came in first, Ty right behind. Both armed, both aiming. Rico froze. Blood, wait, hold up. I can explode. Too late. Ty let off first. Blah, 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 blah. 5 shots. Brick followed with 2 more to the chest. Rico hit the floor, eyes wide open, breath leaving him in gasps. You picked the wrong side, Blood, Ty said cold, walked out, headed straight for L.A. Amira watching Ty's Instagram story that Ty posted a pic from the passenger seat of the rental car. Caption, some bridges gotta burn for you to see who was really in your way. Amira smiled at the caption, still thinking it was just about music. Little did she know, it was literally about bodies. Chapter 18, Money, Music, and Moments. Perspective, Ty lay 2 weeks later. Ty stood at the Bank of America off Crenshaw, staring at the deposit slip. $47,500. After taxes, after lawyer fees, after management cuts, but even after the deductions, this was the most money he'd ever seen hit his personal account at one time. Brick stood nearby, scrolling his phone, keeping lookout. Amira waited out front in the Benz. Ty signed the slip, stuffed the receipt in his hoodie pocket, walked out smiling. First thing he did, took Amira straight to the Beverly Center. That afternoon, shopping spree. Ty bought her a small Rolex, nothing crazy, but enough to make her eyes water when he put it on her wrist, then took her to eat at Mastro's. Lobster tails, butter steak, expensive drinks neither of them could pronounce. Amira watched him the whole time, not just smiling at the money, but at him. This was the Ty she fell for, getting what he deserved. They didn't even make it to the bedroom. Ty kissed her neck while she stood at the counter, lifted her onto the marble surface, slid her leggings down slow, her hands pulled at his hoodie. His fingers traced every curve like he had something to prove, soft but intense, like he'd been holding it in for months. When it was over, they lay there, her head on his chest, his hand tangled in her hair. For the first time in forever, Ty felt peace. Perspective, Brick. Brick sat on the balcony smoking, watching the city lights of L.A., but his mind still on Oakland. He pulled out his phone, scrolled through old text threads. Show, all behind them now. But Brick knew better than anybody. Just because the pawns were gone didn't mean the game was over. Somebody else, always watching, always waiting. Perspective, Amira next morning. Amira woke up first. Watched Ty sleep. She grabbed her phone and took a pic of him. No chain, no hoodie, no rap persona. Just Ty. Her Ty. She posted it to her IG story. Peace looks good on you. Perspective, the streets back on the Ave. Meanwhile, in Oakland, the energy was different. People talked less, shot less IG stories, kept their doors closed. Some folks swore Ty was untouchable now. Others called him fake for leaving. But one thing everybody agreed on, the Ave ain't felt the same since Ty left. And sooner or later, would want to test him. Chapter 19, The Price of Peace. Perspective, Ty, LA, night before his first tour date. Balcony of his new downtown apartment staring at. Below him, the noise of LA kept going. Traffic, sirens, people living like nothing ever went wrong. Inside, suitcases lined up, outfits picked, studio hard drives packed. His first West Coast mini tour started tomorrow. 3 shows lined up, San Diego, Sacramento, and the homecoming date, Oakland. Ty took a long drag off his backwood, exhaled slow. Brick stepped outside. Blood, you really about to go back to the town for a show? Brick asked. Ty nodded. Gotta face it, can't hide forever, Brick smirked. We ain't hiding, we playing offense. Perspective, Amira. Amira sat on the bed, scrolling through her camera roll, pictures from the past few weeks, shopping trips, studio moments. Good again. But still, she had that gnawing fear in her chest. The higher he climbs, the louder the hate gon' get. Her phone buzzed. Ty, pack something cute for Oakland. You rolling with me? She smiled. Say less. Perspective, the Ave Oakland, same time. Back on 23rd Ave, the streets had grown too quiet. The same people who once threw shade now posted Ty's mixtape link like they'd supported him from day one. Kids wore hoodies with Ty's lyrics printed on the back. Local corner stores bumped his music out loud. But behind the love, old beef still lived, and whispers about new enemies were getting louder. Some young, hungry dudes Ty never really paid attention to were now feeling like they had something to prove. Ty coming back for a show? Yeah, we gonna see about that. Perspective, Martin Van's LA RCA office. Martin sat in his office reviewing Ty's latest tour. Ticket sales? Through the roof. Streaming spikes, climbing with every song drop, and the controversy? Driving more engagement than any paid PR run ever could. Martin smiled to himself. Pain sells. And this kid? Selling out, but a small voice in the back of his head wondered, would Ty even survive the Oakland date? Picked up his phone, dialing the label's insurance, just in case. Ty stood at the foot of the jet bridge, boarding a private plane for the first time in his life. Brick walked ahead, carrying a duffel bag full of merch and a few other things they might need, just in case. Amira followed behind, smiling but nervous. As Ty stepped onto the plane, he took one last look at the LA skyline behind him, then pulled his hoodie low, because in a few hours, he'd be back on the Ave. And this time, it wasn't just street love waiting for him, it was legacy, or a target. Chapter 20, back where it started. Perspective, Ty Oakland, the day before the show. The jet touched down at Oakland International around 4:45 p.m. Ty kept his hoodie up and shades on, but it didn't matter. Word had already spread through Instagram and Twitter. Ty back in the town. By the time the Sprinter van pulled out onto Hagenberger, Brick already had 2 cars trailing behind them for security, one full of shooters from L.A., another full of homegrown loyalty. Ty's last few trusted folks still breathing from the Ave. Amira sat close to him, holding his hand tight but staying quiet. Ty scrolled through texts, old flings, fake homies, bloggers. Even Big Marv had sent a gel message through Brick. Stay dangerous, nephew. These lil' uns broken bitter. You up now? Ty smiled. But even that felt hollow, because deep down, this trip wasn't about music. It was closure. Perspective, Brick. Brick posted up outside the venue, the new parish, same spot Ty rocked before the mixtape blew. Security doubled. Shooters on every exit, even the promoter knew. If anything pops off tonight, it ain't on us. Brick walked the perimeter twice, checked every alley. Spoke to every off-duty cop and hired guard on payroll. But he knew better. If the Av wanted to get active, security wasn't stopping nothing. Perspective, Amira inside the Sprinter. Amira checked her makeup in the small vanity mirror, her stomach twisted. Last time Ty was on this street, somebody tried to line him. Now, he was pulling up with a Benz, a Buzz, and a target on his back. Please, God, just let him get through this show alive. She squeezed his hand tighter. You sure about this? She whispered. Ty kissed her on the forehead. I'm built for this. Perspective. The opposition 2 blocks away. A small group of young dudes from the east side stood outside a corner liquor store, none of them over 25, all of them armed. The leader? A new face named Keem, known for being reckless, hungry for clout, and tired of Ty's name being shouted out like he was the only real one from Oakland. The back entrance, Keem said, loading his. Another kid in the group looked nervous. Blood, that's suicide, Keem laughed. So what? We dying broke anyway. Perspective. Ty, showtime. Ty stood side stage, mic in hand. The venue shook with energy. Crowd screaming his lyrics word for word. Bloggers in the front row filming. The DJ already hyping him up. Brick stood by the exit door strapped. 3 of his shooters posted backstage. Ty took one last breath, then walked onto the stage. The first song dropped. The crowd erupted. He was watching the alley behind the venue, where 2 cars just pulled up, slow, windows half down. Brick clicked his safety off. Because one thing was guaranteed tonight, somebody wasn't making it home. Chapter 21, Shots and Stage Lights. Perspective, Ty, on stage, the new parish. Ty grabbed the mic with both hands, sweat dripping down his forehead, energy on 100. The crowd was wild, phones up, fans screaming every word to Ashes on the Ave intro. Brick stood side stage, eyes locked on every door, every corner. The first 2 songs went smooth. Ty even caught Amira off to the side, smiling, mouthing his lyrics. But by the 3rd track, Brick's walkie buzzed. One of his LA security guys outside shouted, "We got movement by the alley." Black Charger just pulled up, 4 out, ski mask, guns drawn. Brick moved instantly. Perspective, Brick back alley seconds later. Brick busted through the side exit with 2 shooters behind him. There stood Keem and 3 other East Oakland hitters, all with Glocks out, crouched behind parked cars, ready to rush the back entrance. Before Keem could even raise his pistol, Brick let off first. Blah, blah, blah. 2 of Keem's boys dropped instantly. Screams broke out inside the venue. Fans started running toward exits. Keem ducked behind a trash dumpster, returning fire. Bullets cracked through the side wall of the venue. Glass shattered. People ducked. Chaos erupted. Amira hit the ground fast, covering her head. Not now. Not like this. She crawled toward backstage, looking for Ty, her heart pounding harder than the bass that was just shaking the room minutes ago. Her perspective, Ty on stage, mid-song as the sound of gunshots broke through. Crowd panicked. Fans stampeded toward the front doors. Security started yelling. Some guards started pushing people out. Others ducked. Ty's DJ pulled him off stage toward the back exit, but Ty shook him off, ran straight toward the backstage hallway, looking for Amira, looking for Brick. His career, his show, the label reps in the balcony. Perspective, Keem. Keem scrambled behind the dumpster, firing 2 blind shots at Brick's car. He watched 2 of his boys laying flat, dead. Fuck. He dropped his empty clip, called Keem exposed. 2 clean shots to the back. Keem hit the pavement, her gasping, bleeding out, trying to crawl but going nowhere. Perspective, Brick walking back inside. Brick stepped over one of the dead bodies, walked back inside with blood still on his hoodie. He found Ty near the green room, holding Amira tight. It's handled, Brick said. Ty nodded, eyes cold. Let's get the fuck out of here. Ty sat on the balcony, hoodie up. Amira curled against his chest, still shaking. Brick sat by the door, Glock on the table. The news already broke. Multiple shot, 2 dead outside Oakland rap show. Twitter already going crazy. IG lives being reposted. Some fans screaming free Ty, others calling him reckless. Martin Vance's text sat unopened on Ty's phone. Are you okay? We're going to spin this story right. But no more shows in Oakland for now. Ty lit a blunt, staring out at the dark Oakland skyline, because deep down, he knew this was just the beginning. Chapter 22, Miami Nights and New Temptations. Perspective, Ty, Miami Beach, 2 weeks after the Oakland show shooting. Ty stepped out the black Sprinter van, fresh out of TSA, landing in Miami like a new man. No hoodie tonight. Fresh white linen shirt, Cuban link swinging Cartier frames, making him look like what the internet was already. Martin Vance pulled strings and got him on the guest list for Diddy's infamous rooftop party in South Beach. The industry was all there. Influencers, bloggers, rappers, athletes, and the latest pop princess, Diana Boss. Perspective, Diana Boss. Diana stood near the pool in a barely there silk dress, her skin glowing under the Miami night lights, her smile dripping with both charm and danger. Her Instagram following had doubled in the last 6 months. Her single was climbing Billboard charts. Her name stayed on gossip blogs. But even with all that, the moment Ty walked through the door, her eyes locked on him, the Oakland energy, the fresh street buzz, the controversy, the mystery. She loved it. And more than that, she wanted it. Perspective, Ty. Ty noticed her the second he stepped in. Long red hair, golden brown skin, body like a dream, face like trouble. Diana walked up first. No hesitation. So you the NNT causing all this noise on the Ave, huh? She said, sipping her champagne. Ty smirked. You do your research. Diana licked her bottom lip slow. I like my men dangerous, but marketable. Ty laughed. Lucky for you. I'm both. Their conversation flowed easy. Half flirting, half business talk, all chemistry. They were on the beach, away from the industry eyes. Seen on the beach, 2:14 a.m. Ty laid her back against the cool sand. The ocean waves crashed behind them. Her dress slid off her shoulder, then down her waist. Ty's hands roamed her thighs, his lips on her neck, his mind lost between lust and curiosity. Diana pulled him closer, whispering in his ear, Don't treat me like a fan. I want the real you. Ty smiled against her skin. You sure? I wouldn't be here if I wasn't. What happened next was soft, slow, but intense. They moved like 2 people who both had egos, but for this one night, both just wanted to feel something real. By the time they collapsed onto the sand, breathless, You're bad for me already. I can feel it. Ty kissed her collarbone. Welcome to my world. Perspective. Amira back in LA, same time. Amira scrolled Ty's Instagram story. He hadn't posted all night. Her gut twisted. Wherever you are, just don't play me, Ty. But she already knew. Something had changed. Chapter 23, When Private Turns Public. Perspective, Ty Beverly Hills outside Catch LA. Ty stepped out the back entrance of Catch LA, hoodie halfway up but not really hiding, hair in a messy bun, gold anklet showing under oversized sweats, no makeup, still glowing. Her laugh rang out as she clung to his arm. They had just finished a late dinner, 2 drinks in, flirty all night. Ty knew the risk of being out with her in public, but at this point, he didn't care. Diana leaned into his ear. Let him see. I like the attention. Before Ty could respond, click, 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 paparazzi out of nowhere. 2 dudes posted up in an Escalade across the street caught the whole thing. Flashes. Video. Everything. Brick, standing nearby, stepped in front of the cameras. Back up, blood, but it was too late. The footage, perspective, the shade room 2 hours later. Headline, Oakland's street rapper Ty spotted booed up with pop princess Diana Boss. Industry's newest couple. Photos of them walking together. Her laughing. Him smiling for the first time in public in months. The comments section exploded. Not Ty catching one of the biggest pop stars in the game. Diana love a street dude. What about that girl he came up with? Thought he had a hood bae. This finna get messy. Perspective. Amira back in LA scrolling Instagram in her apartment. Amira sat on her bed scrolling mindlessly until she saw it. The post, the pics, the comments. Her heart dropped. Fingers shaking, stomach turning. She zoomed in on Ty's face in the pic. That same look he used to give her, now caught on camera with somebody else. Amira bit her lip hard enough to draw blood, stood up, walked to her closet and pulled out her, fine, bet. If he moving on, I'm going up too, she started writing, pouring every piece of heartbreak, anger, and hunger into her own lyrics. Because one thing about Amira, she wasn't going out sad. Perspective, Martin Vance's RCA office next morning. Martin stood at the window overlooking LA, phone to his ear. Yeah, I saw the shade room post. It's perfect. Run with it. Start the hood boy meets pop star narrative. He grinned. We about to monetize this love story, or whatever the hell it is. Perspective. Ty, later that night, in the studio with Diana. Ty sat next to Diana in the booth, scrolling through the Instagram chaos. You cool with all this? He asked. Diana laughed, laying her head on his shoulder. Baby, I live for this kind of press. She kissed his neck slow. Ty smiled. For now, it felt good. Felt like he was up. But somewhere deep down, he knew Amira wouldn't stay quiet for long. And Oakland still had unfinished business. Chapter 24, The Road Ahead. Perspective, Ty lacks. Private terminal, tour departure day. The tour bus sat idling near the tarmac. Drivers loading merch boxes. Road managers making last-minute calls. Cameramen prepping for the behind-the-scenes content RCA wanted. Ty stood with Brick near the bus steps. Diana pulled up late, hopping out of a black SUV in oversized shades, a designer duffel bag in one hand. She ran straight up to Ty. No cameras this time, no paparazzi, just her and him. You sure you're ready for this? She asked, adjusting his chain. Ty kissed her slow. Public this time. Too late to back out now. They laughed, but Brick stayed focused, eyes sweeping the parking lot. Blood, you already know. I'm 2 cars behind the whole way. Ty nodded. Say less. Before stepping on the bus, Ty scrolled his phone one last time. Missed calls. 2 from Amira. He paused, thumb hovering over the callback button. But instead, he turned the phone off. Perspective. Amira, North Hollywood, her apartment. Amira sat at her desk, headphones on, recording rough vocals into GarageBand. The song, heartbreak, jealousy, revenge, empowerment. Her first real song, the hook, aimed straight at Ty without saying his name. Her manager, an indie A&R she met 2 weeks ago, texted. That's the one. Let's book studio time next week. Amira smiled for the first time in days. Because if Ty was moving on, so was she. Perspective, Oakland, 23rd Ave. Back home, the Ave sat quiet, but the hate still growing. New enemies, new youngins ready to make a name, and old beef still simmering. Word on the block, Ty was gone. But his name, still loud. Perspective, Ty, inside the tour bus, driving down the freeway. Ty sat by the window, beats playing low in his headphones, Diana asleep 2 seats over, Brick following behind in the Sprinter. Ty stared out at the California hills as the bus picked up speed heading north. His mind spinning, the music, the money, the women, the enemies, the betrayal still to come, and the war back home that never really stopped. He pulled out his phone, opened his notes app, typed 4 words. Love ain't bulletproof too. then smiled. Because he already knew